Hello, my name is Francis Fox, and I'm a government trained remote viewer. I was trained also to be a psychic spy. I'm trained and an expert in interspecies communication, which is above and beyond being able to talk to your pet. In other words, I'm more than just a pet psychic. You can actually talk to anything, everything has consciousness, including what I discovered the other day, the frequency that science is now saying helps teeth to regenerate and to repair themselves. That frequency, when I played it the first time, I could see, feel, hear my teeth being activated and looking for calcium in order to repair them. So I'm skilled in the other dimensions, which is very important now. It has always been important, but it's much more important today because most of our enemies are in the other dimensions. They don't have a physical body. And that leaves us without really understanding how much we need to protect ourselves from them. That is why I do those maps of energies without paying any attention to what's happening politically or socially. And they're very revealing. So I'm going to go ahead and remind you that I do have a degree, a university degree in political science. Um, I started a business in 1969. It's still an incredible business today, selling several times what I was selling when I finally retired from it because I wanted to do this. So I know how to build things with really strong foundations. And I like business. Don't particularly care about money. Isn't that interesting? But I like business. Creative, the creativity. And then once the creativity aspect of whatever business is gone, then I really don't want to be there anymore because I need that stimulation. And that's the case for most people. But the title of today's meeting is Prosperity in the Midst of Chaos. I find it fascinating that even though we seem to have had the worst day in history in terms of stocks, when I get up on X today and when I talk to people, nobody's talking about the stock market. It's very weird. Maybe I'm not on the right channels, but I get news when other things are happening. So I'm not quite sure what that is all about. In other words, the reaction to what happened in the stock market seems to be pretty quiet. And actually, everything seems to be very quiet. So let me just show you first, before we get into more details and before we get into some gossip, let me show you the two maps that I've done on the United States, which is this one yesterday. That's interesting. Which I believe I showed you with these waves of red, invasion of the Northeast going into Washington, D.C. This is a galactic invasion, ETs. And then a circle here that says galactics, not a good thing. Florida has done really well, South Florida. And then today I went ahead and I sketched the map again because things can change very quickly. At the top it says pretty tranquil. Still, the invasion is still going on. Florida is now a target for ETs. Now, why would that be? Well, we've got Trump in Florida, and we have Elon, and who's now good friends and working together with Trump to establish, on terms of Trump's Elon's side, a little bit of more logic and business acumen to what is government, which is very important. Um, and so I'm assuming that's why the galactics, the bad ones, are targeting Florida. And the part of Texas that usually is red, which is where Elon has his spaceships in his center, is okay now. This is a good thing. This is a very good thing. Okay, so this is tranquility. We worked very hard the night of the attempted assassination on Trump, and were able to subdue an energy of rage, which was going to initiate some catastrophes, that much rage. That was the backlash to what happened. People felt impotent, angry, like after 9/11, which created a new fault line under New York City. So I have to remind everybody that it has been said throughout history that humans are not each other's enemies. When you have somebody doing something bad, like a bully, somebody's bullying you, what it is saying is that the law of attraction is kicked in, and somebody who's got a lot of fire in them, feisty fighting, is going after somebody who has a lot of fire but is controlling it. So you've got the bully who's acting it out, full of fire, and then you've got the victim who's got a lot of fire but is not acting it out, is repressing it. So you cannot have a bully without a victim. It's not possible. So when we have enemies, we're human beings and we have enemies and we have problems. We're supposed to ask ourselves, if you want to be master of your destiny, why did I need this problem? Why do I need this problem? And it's fascinating the shift of consciousness when you do that. And at some point, you become aware that that person that behaved poorly and did that to you, in terms of karma, is doing you a favor and putting in your face something. It's a leak in your system, a portal, a break, something that can take you down that you're not working on, that you're not aware of. And they will stir up the waters, irritate you, throw it in your face, do something god awful for you to stop and say, wait a second. But rather than pointing a finger, say, why did I need for that person to do that to me? Look how interesting the attempted assassination of Trump. Why did we need that? Well, to me, it's very simple. Everybody seems to be tiptoeing around the fact that there are really bad people in the government that don't have any problem killing people. I am witness to that. I've been talking about my history since the 90s, and it's like business as usual for everybody, the nice guys and the bad guys. Business as usual. Nobody's going to believe her. It's okay. Stop talking so much. You're very expensive to follow. And everything moves along as if everything was normal. How can that be? Especially since my stories were verified by other people with the same stories. And basically at the same time, a lot of us ended up in therapy at the same time in the 90s. And the therapists and the did not have an issue of not believing because they know from signs, etc., body language, body memories, whether the person is lying or not. And yet it was like business as usual. So in this country, we roll around business as usual when it should not be business as usual. Stop the train and go, how did we get here? This can't happen. This is not right. This is not acceptable. I love what they're doing with the attempted assassination. They're going on, and they're finding 2,000 pieces of proof that it was an inside job. Sounds like the alien issue. Well, the government has to tell us that they're aliens. Where we have all this information from people that are reliable, but no. Do you really think the government's going to admit it? Why did we need that? Well, one thing, we need to stop and go, wow, this is really serious. It also seemed to have pulled us together, which was a very good thing. So maybe we needed to get pulled together. The people that weren't paying a lot of attention, this big thing would kind of wake them up and go, wait a second, something really big is happening here. But I think even bigger than that is how much this is like that old story of this woman walks into the bedroom and her husband's in bed with another woman. And she's like, oh my God. The husband gets up, he starts to dress. The woman gets up, she starts to dress. The other woman walks out the door, and the husband is like, nothing happened. And the woman is like, it's like we're being We're in a place where we are so impotent. Is that what it is? Or where it's so easy to disguise the truth simply by denying it. Because in the case of the woman walking in on her husband, her own eyes are showing her something, and yet she gets insecure because the man is so secure and so is the other woman. That's exactly what's happening in this country with things. The evidence is all there, and then we who are witnessing it are like, I'm sure there's a name for that. I have no idea what the name is. But we have problems when we need them. If we have this many problems in the United States, we needed them. And I know that we needed them. Just the fact that I could say everything that I said about my history and all of it that was validated in the 90s. And nobody moved a muscle, lifted a finger to help or to have a restructuring of their thought process having to do with this country and government. No. What is that all about? The lack of compassion, the lack of thought process. Maybe people just feel that it doesn't really matter because it won't make a difference what they feel. So why feel anything at all? Why react? We are not in a good place. But let's go to a little bit of gossip. I am struggling with a huge issue, and I'm not quite sure how to say it without saying too much and without changing the way you view me. I'm just dealing with a huge issue. And the issue is the usual issue of being blackmailed today. Today. We're talking today. We're not talking in the 90s. We're not talking 3 weeks ago. We're talking today. Being blackmailed to the point where I'm not able to move. I need to move from where I'm living. I can't move. I had to promise that I would not move and then everything will be okay with my family. But I need to move. I live in a den of thieves, except it's a political den. I swear that every department of the government that has to do with intelligence has an apartment on this block. Both sides. I'm sure. Why do I need this problem? Well, I guess I need this problem because I never finished resolving the whole blackmail with my family issue, which brings me to we need a protocol for everybody in the government that's being blackmailed. I'm telling you that these people have it down to a science. And when you are in that position long enough, you end up with the Stockholm syndrome. You start to identify with the abuser, which I have been a victim of. But there's a lot of people out there, good people that did something, wanted something, saw something, and somebody's threatening them with that, and they're caught between a rock and a hard place. So we need some kind of a protocol to help these people out because it's too many people. It's not just me and 6 others. It's too many people. And when you're in that position long enough, you end up being part of the gang. You don't have any option. You didn't want to be there. They're dragging you along. But eventually, rather than them dragging you along, you put your feet on the ground and you walk with them because maybe you can position yourself a little bit better so that you can take care of your people. We need a protocol. We need a plan for all those people that are being blackmailed. Luisa, I have asked you not to be on my platform. So we need a protocol. Not to entice people. The whistleblowers are not the issue, even though they have a problem. I'm talking about the people that are deeply inside of politics that you have to say, why are they doing that? And several times people have said maybe they're being blackmailed. They are, which brings me to the next point. What's this whole thing with having to blame everybody for everything? Now it turns out that who is it? Oh, Elon has a daughter that is saying whatever. It was on like 10 times on X and then I didn't see it anymore. How many of us have children that would not have anything negative to say about us? Oh, I don't know anybody. I don't know anybody. What is it? That don't cast the first stone, unless you're perfect. I know that's not the way the saying is. What is this problem? You cannot go through life without making a ton of mistakes. And the more caught up you are with power and bigger business and more people and whatever, there's going to be a lot more people that are going to be able to say something, some of which won't be true, but a lot of which will be. What is the problem here? This is a planet of light and dark. There is nobody that is just full of light, including Jesus Christ. Nobody. Why did he disappear all those years? I'm not saying he was in jail. Please. You know that I adore him. I think he's fantastic. He was a shaman. But where was he? We don't know. Did he kick the tables at the temple? Sure. Did they have the right to be there at the tables of the temple? They did. He didn't have the right to do that. He did it. He didn't like it. Who knows what else he did? This is a planet of light and dark. We are supposed to have a dark side. And when we repress it, we end up in therapy. And if it's dark enough and somebody else finds out about it, they can start to blackmail us. But we all have darkness. This is nothing new. The Mayans said that at this time, right at the end, which is where we're at, that people would start to integrate their sub personalities, which is the part of them that they hid because they didn't like it, because it wasn't good, because people didn't accept it. Their darkness is there. And that would start to come up. Revelations would release the veils that held that back, and that people were going to go a little bit crazy because they wouldn't be able to accept these parts of themselves. And we've put many posts in our platform telling people that transformation can be really ugly because you remember stuff. But then if somebody else remembers, knows, and they hold a gun to your head, we're going to release this to the public. We already know that we have a public that's unforgiving, and yet all of them are repressing things. What is this? Why haven't we integrated the fact that humans are light and dark? Now, in Buddhism, the really powerful lamas are the ones that know how to work with the light and the dark. They are the ones that can produce the highest level of magic, which will probably mean that I'm going to be able to produce the highest level of magic because I was into darkness up to here, placed in a program, born into a program. And I'm actually waiting for people to start saying that I'm a clone. And what is Elsa saying? And whoever out there, they're a clone, and then the mask, the whole 9 yards. No, I'm not a clone. I'm a pretty miserable mind control victim who doesn't have full access to her history. I would really like to know it. We are not going to make it if we keep not integrating that information that humans are light and dark, and we're not just dark when we're little. Okay? It's not just when we're little, before they turn us into pretzels so that we're just light, or at least we just show light. What's going on with that with the religions? In Buddhism, they don't judge anybody. And one of the most fascinating Buddhists, who was a poet, his name was Milarepa. He was really bad in his lifetime, highly regarded. He was a master. He could create magic. He could do all sorts of things. No issue with him being bad. There is a very well-known Buddhist monk who's written a ton of books, who's a drop-dead alcoholic. No problem. They don't judge it. I'm not saying he should be an alcoholic or not being an alcoholic. I suspect he probably would prefer not to be. But why is it that we are so judgmental of people? How can we possibly produce? Look what they did to Trump. Yes. Okay. So the whole sex thing. Come on. Is it really that bad? For the wife, yes. For the family, yes. Should he have done that? No. Would I want my husband to do that? No. But we're people. People. Human beings. We are light and dark. We are not just light. A lot of those people that we're complaining about that are so judgmental and they want everybody to be able to do whatever they want and a lot of those people are just they're just light. They're just trying to do the right thing and the good thing. You got to be scared of those people. You got to be afraid of them. I think most of them are liberals. Most of them are liberals. They hated Trump because they didn't like him, because he spoke strong and he was real. They didn't like him. And so if you would confront them, those are the ones with the Trump derangement syndrome. If you would confront them, okay, what is it that you don't like? Other than the sexual issues, which not that big deal compared to my world, whatever. Okay. I just don't like him. You don't like him, but you're such a nice person. And you think I mean, you're such a nice person, you don't like him. Okay. Why do you hate him like that? I don't hate anybody. I said, you're going to tell me that you just exhibited is not hate? Well, I remember I confronted somebody. I remember the balcony I was sitting on. I confronted this person and she said, I don't hate. I said, yes, you do. Look at you. You're foaming at the mouth about Trump. And you can't even tell me why you don't like him, other than the fact that you don't like him. Well, she said, you know what? Maybe you're right. I need to look into this. And she calmed down, whatever. What's this whole thing with liking and not liking? What is this whole thing about liking and not liking? It's the whole thing of people are supposed to be perfect. Jesus Christ wasn't perfect. Nobody's perfect. The big deal llamas in Tibet, they're not perfect. They don't expect them to be perfect. It's rather interesting when they're not perfect. What is this? Those are the spirits. Those are the spirits that influence us. So you get a kid and the kid does some stuff and it's like, oh my God, my kid. And you cannot tell them, you know what? I kind of did that when I was young. You can't. You can't tell them that. You say, no, can't do that. No, you can't do that. In a society that does not understand basic things about human beings. And then we get into politics. And then you get people doing bad stuff. Now, how the hell are they ever going to admit it to everybody if people react the way they do? Oh, no, that's terrible. Praise God, please that nobody ever find out about this. Why not? They made they are talking about it because they're not in agreement with that at this point in their life and they want to work this through. And I have to tell you, and I really don't care who gets upset at me, talk therapy doesn't work because your big traumas are lodged in your tissues. Talking doesn't bring out those big issues. Emoting does. You can't. What does a therapist look like? They wear these longish dresses, like a little, almost like the 60s, but more demure. And they're very correct. And you can't be losing control like this in the office, Francis. I'm emoting. I'm supposed to emote. That's what you're supposed to do with emotions. Oh, no. We can talk it through. Talk does not take care of trauma. Neither does medication, by the way. So you have a society that doesn't know how to handle the trauma of a person doing something bad, wrong, whatever, and needing to recuperate from it or needing to it to be accepted and not used in terms of blackmail. Now, I'm not talking, yes, I could be talking about me because this group of sex trafficking Cuban mafiosos, were going to blackmail me with images of me in my 70s, pornographic images that they took. And when they started with that, I went, yeah, okay. Who the hell is going to believe that a 70-some-year-old woman with cellulite is going to agree to something like this? Who's holding the camera? Come on. Give me a break. Stupid. But they're so used to blackmailing people. Oh my God, the shame. Yes, it's shameful. But everybody has stuff. And I'm not talking about this because something god awful is going to come out about me, because all that stuff is already out. I'm being blackmailed now, again, as usual, with my kids. I need to move. I can't be on this block with every government agency represented here watching me. Okay, we need her for this, we need her for that. And then the Cuban mafia, she's ours because what? Come on. I'm talking about our politicians. That's what I'm talking about. Now the whole thing with the Elon Musk and a daughter. Give me a break. How old is she? Because there's times when we grow up where all we want to do is completely trash our parents. And by the way, that's a process. I was told, and it makes sense, I read that children sometimes are very afraid of leaving their parents' side. And the only way they can get the strength to do that is to turn their parents into bad people. This is a bad person, and I have to get away from him, and I got to move out. But they can only do that if they could turn that person into a really bad person. And then they're able to get their independence. They're just afraid of just walking away and saying, you know what, I think I want to move by myself, but I'm afraid. They don't. So we get caught up in that little loop. We need to stop doing this. We need to stop trashing each other. We need to stop looking for the dirt on everybody. We need to understand that human beings are light and dark, and that people have their issues, their problems, their inclinations. We have it all wrong. And I think a lot of it is due to the fact that we have not understood the human mind and human emotions. We haven't understood a lot of things. In the book that maybe if I can get off this goddamn block that I'm living on, in it, I put that the person that has the type of characteristics that's good for war, like a general, somebody who's a military person, not a good idea to have them run a country because their intentions are very different. You want somebody to run a country that's looking for people to be happy and business and everything open, and you have somebody who's military trained who's looking to make sure there's not another war, which already brings out the energy of war, looking for the enemies, make sure that everything's tight, make sure everything's under control. You want people to be free. That's the only way they can be happy. So we have a lot of things that we will look at in retrospect that got us off track. But one of the things that needs to be looked at today is how we trash the people that become public personas. The strongest people, from what I have seen, and that includes St. Francis of Assisi in the Catholic Church, Buddhist lamas, are the ones that have been in the dark and have chosen the light. They have both things. So you have somebody who's got a god-awful past, and he wants to help people, and he wants to get into politics, he wants to get into whatever. Oh, no, but look at your past. Well, but that was then. I learned a lot from that. No. We have to get out of this high horse thing, because look at those, especially women. Look at those finger, can't do that. Everything has to be da 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 da. Can't do that. Because the strongest amongst you will not be able to come forward to help us get out of this mess. Because those people that know all about blackmail are right there. Right Use of Will. It's a good book, but I don't think many people are going to enjoy it. Spiritually Sophisticated Mantrita. A lot of what I'm teaching all of you will turn you into very sophisticated, spiritually sophisticated people. And the equivalent of that is not being a religious person. There is no equivalent to that. Basically, it's you understand what a human being is, all their aspects. You understand that this is a planet of light and dark. I'm right. The dolphins are giving me a ton of information on this new music that I do have for you today. I basically destroyed 2 chats yesterday trying to get that music. I finally got it. I don't think I had it. I did not have it in time for this chat yesterday. But and now I lost my train of thought. So we're going to go ahead and go into a mantra. We're going to go into the mantra of what the title of this chat was supposed to be, which is peace and prosperity in the midst of chaos. I'm thinking. Allow me a minute to think. It was repressed hatred and rage that Mother Earth took on after 9/11 by 9/20/2001 that created a new fault line that allowed or was the basis for the earthquake in center New York City on October 20, 2001. Repressed rage. Well, you're not supposed to run around raging and being angry. You're supposed to be nice and sweet and a smile on your face. So we repress, break Mother Earth, put a burden on Mother Earth that is too much, and then you have the potential for catastrophes, and you have catastrophes. The whole thing that happened the day they tried to assassinate Trump, what was going to cause a catastrophe was everybody's rage. But the people were not screaming, and they're still not screaming. They're being very civilized, and they're going through the whole intellectual thing of, look, this many feet, and the roof was only sloping 5 degrees. Yes. How many different ways are you going to prove that it was an inside job? And once you finish proving it, well, you're never going to finish proving it, because you see the next step is you're supposed to do something, and you're not going to do something because this country, everybody feels impotent, because everybody's scared of what's going to happen if they say something, if they do something. I don't know how we got here quite so bad, even though I have to tell you that television had a lot to do with it. In the 90s, I would be crying and spending a ton of money on therapists, and people were watching what I called glamorized military movies. All the CIA spy movies were all glamorized. And I would say, those people are sick in the movies, the CIA agents. What are we doing to our country? Why are we glamorizing military? Why are we glamorizing spies? I was a spy. Don't glamorize it. It's very expensive to recuperate. And I'm not sure you'll ever fully recuperate. Why are we glamorizing it? We're still doing it today. It's better. It's much better. What are we doing? How did we get so off track? Why is all this CIA spy stuff? First place, people in the intelligence community laugh at the CIA people. What are they called? The cowboys. Not such great IQs. I'm not going to go into that. I may meet up with them later on tonight. I'm not going to go into that. We have gotten off track. So we need a protocol for people that are being blackmailed. But the main thing we need is to allow people that have done something that is maybe we would prefer that they not have done, and they would prefer they not have done, to be okay with it, to integrate it, to do a mantra of self-acceptance, that they did that, to accept it, and then let it go. You have to accept it first, and then let it go. And then you look at the person and see, assess if this is a regular human being that you think should be capable of doing this job. And by the way, if they already went through their darkness and they worked it through and they accepted it, because the thing is, you have to accept what you did and not just be pointing your finger at other people. This is a pretty solid citizen. We can't have any of those solid citizens. No, I'm not going to have any of those solid citizens. So we're going to go ahead with the mantra, and I'm going to put the new music on. This is the music that has the frequency for teeth repairing itself. But it's not just teeth. If you have sexual abuse issues, it starts release from your tissue. It also helps to repair bones. It's very good for closing the portal here, which is the portal we use to enter planet Earth, and the portal we will use to exit planet Earth. We're not even sure of everything that it can do, but I got it. So we're going to do the mantra of a peace and prosperity, because I think that even though people are not talking about the stock market crash, which is very weird, it's almost like we got all put to sleep. Let's go ahead and do that, because perhaps that is what I find more worrisome. Give me a second. No. Maybe we're all half asleep. You know that in Tibetan Buddhism, they have a classification, just like the Catholic Church, of spirits. And there's a group of spirits that can make you forget. And it is, those are the spirits that old people get more and more of, and they can't remember. A lot of the forgetting today has to do with your memory being erased by your cell phone and electronic devices. I lost my train of thought. We don't need to go back there. This is the mantra. You repeat it in silence. You should put your hands in the Apana Mudra, okay? And your hands on top of your thighs, but let me go on a minute longer. Everything is too quiet. Everything is too quiet. So if things get riled up, if things get bad, I would like to remind you again that you are to deal with your reaction to whatever horrific happened or whatever you're worried about, and make sure you deal with it at the emotional level, because your emotional body is your spirit astral body. From the movie Star Wars, when they say, may the force be with you, what they're saying is, we hope that your spirit astral body is integrated with your physical body, because then you're going to be really strong. So you want to make sure you deal with what you're really feeling like emotionally, deep down inside. If it strikes fear that you have all these companies or these stocks or these whatever, and it striking fear in you, go ahead and clear that. Talk about it, and then go back to focusing and vitalizing your intention to remain prosperous or to become prosperous. You have to process your emotional reactions, and then you go back to vitalizing intention. So trying to vitalize intention when you are terrorized simply pushes the terror deeper, and then it's harder to find it and pull it out and process it out. So I don't know what other garbage is going to come up about the elections, the candidates, whatever it is that's going on. But honestly, we can't do that to people, because everybody has garbage. And if it's a powerful person that's been around the block a lot, they probably have a lot of garbage. And they're not trying to pull the wool over our eyes. They were just living life. And it doesn't mean that that's what they're going to promote forward. It means that's what they went through. We can't be pointing fingers. We will end up getting lifeless clones who never really had a life. Therefore, they didn't have an opportunity to work through their darkness. So here's the mantra, and I'm going to put the music on, and we're going to do 10 minutes. And you're welcome to put your comments, if you like, in my video storage works. We're going to do something now because I was, as usual, thinking, doing the mantra. What is it that takes us all down? It's shame. The issue with darkness is shame. We're ashamed. And supposedly we're ashamed because we're not like God. And that's how come He threw us out. And we're separated from God because we're ashamed. You know what? We're going to do a mantra now having to do with shame. And you're going to see your body's reaction, and you're probably going to be shocked at how much you relax after doing the shame mantra. We're all ashamed of something. You stole pencils when you were a kid. You know, if you made a sale that wasn't quite legitimate, just try the mantra. We're going to use the same music. This is going to be interesting. It's all about shame. They can't blackmail you about certain people, about certain things, if you weren't ashamed that you did it. If you were like, okay, that's not an easy state to be in. Okay, we're going to do the purification mantra, and you can start already. Even though I am ashamed, you don't have to know what you're ashamed of. I am ashamed. I love and accept myself. I think a lot of times I don't ask for help because I'm ashamed. I don't want to look like I'm needy, which I totally am. I'm a Cancer. And I do need help, but I think it's shame. Shame that I'm not strong enough, that I could possibly need help. But we all have our weaknesses. Try the mantra. Just go ahead, go for it. Remember, you repeat it in silence in your head. You blow the air out through your mouth and then watch the parts of your body that start to react. A lot of people will find this a very interesting experience. How do you feel? Shame is the human emotion that has the lowest vibration. It is what we hide the most. It is the most damaging. And all this blackmail, a lot of it has to do with shame. The two types of blackmail that because of money or because of sex. When they blackmail you with your children and your family, that's another story. How is that? For most people, it's an experience. So we are going to now finish. And I hope I talked enough about peace and prosperity. I'm really struggling staying on the topic that I choose as the title of the chat. And I think I'm just going to say chat number 99, and that's it. And then whatever it is that comes out, that's what it is. Apparently, I lose track between the time when I ask for the graphic thumbnail to be done and by the time I get here. But I think an excess of creativity and multidimensional time travel issues could be the explanation, but it doesn't really matter. The title of my chats never match what I say, so I need to deal with that. Yes, you can feel a lot of peace after doing the shame mantra, and the music is unbelievable. This whole thing with sound being the most effective healing technique, please remember the opposite. You can take people down with sound, and we're getting taken down by the sound of Wi-Fi. It has a sound. There's actually a man that created a product that was very small that children were going to be able to clip to their shirts when they went to school or they went out. Everybody was going to be able to kind of like wear it, and it would detect microwave, which is Wi-Fi, and the levels of it so that you would know when you're in a place where there's too much. and it was not going to be expensive. And he produced one product that was the electrosmog detector that you held in your hand, and it was about this size. And then he disappeared. So I'm not going to say too much else about that because I have too much inside information. Because of my background, I was able to track people that worked, and it was like their background was intelligence, whatever. But sound is incredibly healing, and we are very fortunate to have Mateo Cuaron producing for us some compositions that can change your life. This particular piece we're calling Let There Be Peace because it helps the part of us where the really bad ETs come into us and create havoc. And we are producing it 10 hours long with a black screen so that you can have it on all night long. And all night long, you're going to receive this incredible healing. You'll also be able to hear it and on Spotify, but we'll have it on YouTube, both places by early next week, and it's free. No, Navarro, you're not crazy. I took it down from YouTube, so you're not crazy. I don't know why it's not in your history, but we took it down. It'll be back up on Monday properly. Thank you for joining me, and we will see you tomorrow. We're now going to go into our Venezuela chat and start with Mexico, which I need to sketch. But let me tell you that Venezuela, we did a really good job on the coast where there was a potential for invasion or catastrophe. And then all of a sudden the ETs started to battle it out above. And here we go with the whole issue of the United States and the ETs now focusing on Florida. Okay, now we have and I believe that has to do with the whole Trump presidency. Okay, see you tomorrow. By the way, recommend our chats. Thank God we're back up to getting some halfway decent numbers in Spotify and iTunes. Okay, we'd appreciate it. Thanks.